This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Hey guys, Will here. Welcome back to Modeling from the Engine's Chair. This is episode 11 of the NX-01 1/350 scale build. And it's coming along pretty well. When I left off, I had a lot of seam work to do, and I've still got some more seam work to do. I haven't had as much time as I would have liked to last week to get done. A lot going on with work and things, but been working on it. There's a couple of gaps on this thing that are pretty bad. I'll talk about those more in detail when I get you on the bench, but there's one issue in particular back here. I guess we call these pontoons, but one issue in particular I'm having with one of these back here I'm going to have to do some work on, and we'll talk about that, like I said, when I get you on the bench. Let me start off by first thanking Gus Snipes over at GCals for joining me and being a sponsor. And I know everybody over on the Star Trek Modelers group on Facebook knows Gus. He's been doing some great work with some aftermarket decals and custom registries for all the starships and that. And please take a look at his website. I'll put a clickable link in the notes below because I know it's kind of a long one, but it's got plenty of decals for you to look at and choose from, and you can also get some custom ones done through Gus as well. With that being said, I've also been given permission to finally let out the bag that Gus is the one working on the 1/350 NX-01 Aztec decals for this kit. Now, don't go hitting Gus up yet. They're not ready, and we don't have an ETA yet. So just let Gus do his thing. As most of you guys know, Gus does spectacular work. I've seen the renders that he's done for the first couple of pages for these, and they look spectacular. They are going to be incredible, and they're going to look great on starships, especially on this model. They're going to look great, and I can't wait to get my hands on them and put them on here and see how they turn out. But I know Gus is going to do an excellent job with that. So as soon as I get more information, or Gus is able to give a more firm expectation of when those might be ready, I'll let you know. But please don't go hitting Gus up asking them. They're not ready yet. This is just so everybody that sees these videos later on knows, it's the end of August right now, 2021. So hopefully in the next couple months he'll be able to finalize those and get those out. But it is a painstaking process, and he's really putting in some effort into these things, and I'm telling you, they're going to look great. So that being said, appreciate everybody watching the videos. I've had quite a few new subscribers over the past couple weeks. So thank you to everybody that's subscribing. Hopefully you're getting some useful information out of these videos, and and I'm not driving you nuts with some of the things I'm doing here. But at any rate, like I said, we're getting close to this. Brian, I've actually talked to Brian, and Brian's decided he wants to hold out and wait for the Aztec decals to be done. So that actually is great because it gives me more time to finalize things and finesse some things with this. And there's some seams that I want to go back and do some more additional work on, and some other areas I think need a little more attention. So that gives me a little more time to do that. So while we're waiting for that, that's what I'll be working on. I also have some other builds I'm going to start working on the side for myself. I mentioned before I've got the commission build, or not the commission, but that tribute build I'm doing for my father-in-law who passed away almost 5 years ago this November. And he served on the USS Shangri-La back in the early 60s. So I'm doing a tribute build for that I want to have done by the end of November. And so I'll be working on that. And also, I did get in, and this is not Star Trek related, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. Well, this is. I almost forgot about this. So this came in the mail this week. Got a little dust on it, sorry. Cat box in here. So But if you haven't seen, these are the new additions that came out for the Starfleet ships, and just got it in this week. This is for the 2294 Into the Future, so it has the Voyager J is in here, everything from Discovery, except for, of course, original Discovery, because there's like 4 of these books. The one before this one covers the time period of the original ships back to the classic series and that. So I'm going to be looking to get that one. It's got a lot of great information in it. Does some very detailed, you know, if you need some reference for painting and that, some very detailed images. It does pretty much views, you know, from every angle, and so it's a pretty cool book to have if you're working on models. So take a look at that. I got this from Amazon. You know, you can get it from other places, I'm sure, but that's where I like to get my books from. But what I was saying was I'm going to also be working on this Airwolf build. So I won't be posting that to obviously the Star Trek modelers group on Facebook, because it's not a Star Trek model, but we'll be posting that in some of the Airwolf fan pages. So I'll get that put out, but it will also be on, of course, my YouTube channel and on Modeling from the Ensign's Chair Facebook page, which you can find by looking for, doing a search for Ensign's Chair or at Ensign's Chair on Facebook. So at any rate, that's what I'll be working on, and finalizing some things on here. So give me a couple minutes, I'll get you on the bench and we'll start taking a look at what we need to work on now. Alright guys, well, here she is. She's all together, and all the parts are on here now except for the docking rings. I still got to put those on yet. I didn't want to do that yet because I did all the light blocking or light leak blocking around the edges of the saucer, and now I've got to come back with my airbrush and kind of feather. I got to cover these windows up, mask them off a little bit, and come back and feather around this edge a little bit to kind of blend it all in. And still got a lot of work to do on this back end though. A lot of big gaps and seams that I'm finding back here. And you can see where I've got the perfect plastic putty where I made the slurry and came in and filled all this stuff in. So that's got to come back, and I've got to, what I'll do is I'll come back with a wet brush and kind of clean that up a bit. And just have a little cup of water and a something with a brush. I don't have one sitting on my table right now, but a brush with kind of a wider tip to it. Just come through and kind of clean up that putty a little bit. That's the good thing about the perfect plastic putty I like for seams like this, where you can't really get in sand or anything like that. You can come back in, you can make that slurry, fill it in, and then come back with a wet brush and kind of clean it up some. But so I got to come back and do that. And the main thing I'm having an issue with though is this pontoon, I guess you'd call it. I've heard some people refer to it as on this side. And you see, I kind of did a quick sealing on the light leak just so I could see what I was working with here. But trying to figure out what, you know, this side here lined up great. It's got a little bit of a lip, a raised edge right here, but not that bad. This side here though is a pretty bad raised edge on it right here, and this is not lined up at all, and it should be. So trying to figure out what was going on with that, and was talking to George McGregor, and thank you George. George has been a great help. He pointed me in the direction. There was a post made on a Polar Lights bulletin, I guess long time ago, when they first recognized there was an issue with there being a twist in the back end of this model, which a lot of people have experienced, a lot of people have commented about that. Once they get this together, the nacelles don't line up, and or one or both will be pointed upward, not parallel to the hull. Now this one, it's lined up pretty well, but I think the issue has to do with these joints back here, because that bulletin talked about one way to remedy that twist to this part back here was to sand off the bottom, or remove the pins on the bottom. And I've got one of my other ones I haven't done yet. But here's your top and bottom. But what he recommends is, now he says 3 pins on the bottom, but the bottom only has 2 pins. So I'm wondering if he's talking about the 3 pins on the right side. So the right side, the 3 pins here, removing those. So I'm not clear about that, but honestly, you don't really have to have these pins. it's probably going to make it a lot easier for you to eyeball this and line these, since there is an issue with this if you put it together the way it is. It's probably going to be a lot easier for you to eyeball and correct that twist if you don't have any of the pins in here at all. Maybe leave the bottom ones in, but these top ones I don't think you need at all. And I think that's what's happening is when I got this side lined up and connected, this side here didn't quite line up because of that issue with the pins creating that twist. So I think what's happened is when I eyeballed it to get it together, these pins didn't quite fit in like they were supposed to. I'm going to take this bottom part off. Yeah, I'll worry about it later. But I think these bottom pins didn't quite line up like they're supposed to, especially with that bottom part on here too, also pulling in another direction. So at any rate, that's all glued in place, and I think that's what's keeping that back end from seating all the way. So what I'm going to do is I've got my micro saw here, and I'm going to saw this seam, and what I'm looking to do is basically get down in here and saw enough to cut this off completely from the back end. And that should allow me to line this properly and get it glued back in place. I'm not worried about this separating because I've got this pretty solidly glued, this side and then the bottom half here. And then I'll glue again here and seal this up, and it should be good. But what I'm going to do is just take my saw into this seam here and just saw down and try to cut this off, since there's no way I'll pull it apart because I've got so much glue set on there that I made sure it wasn't going to come apart. It'd probably end up breaking something. So the best thing I can do, I think, is just go into that seam with my micro saw here and just cut that part loose and then line it up and glue it back in place. So that's my plan, and that's what I'm going to work on. So give me a little bit, and I'll do that and try to get this worked out, and we'll come back and see where we're at. Alright guys, so far so good. I came with my micro saw here and try to get this a little closer to you. You can see where I saw it through here, but you don't want to saw too far because remember you got those wires. You got those wires. I'm about to try to tear this apart and fix it again. Those wires are hot glued to the bottom of this pontoon here, so don't want to go too far with it. I just cut down enough to where I could get this free, and now you can see I can push that over and get that to line up properly and get that glued in place there. So there we go, fix that, and one step closer to being done properly. So give me a little bit, I'm gonna work on this and we'll come back and see where we're at. Alright guys, so good news is my surgery was successful. So now I've got this pylon, this grid line here is all matched up to it. So now I just got some sanding to do and probably a little bit of putty work. There's supposed to be a seam here, so I don't really need to get rid of that seam, but a little bit of putty work, smooth out some of these rough areas. I've got some putty over here where there were some gaps and some parts didn't quite match up. Biggest gap I had was on this engine over, let me see if I can get this in camera. Bring my light over. This engine over, not engine, but this piece over here on the side, right in here, there was a really bad gap. So it probably a good 1/8 of an inch gap there. So had to work that out. Did a little work in the back here. I opened up, went ahead and opened. I wasn't going to do these, didn't want to do these too early because I know I'm going to have to do some more touch-up painting. But I've got those windows open back here, so you can see the light coming through there a little bit. But got those opened up, and now it's just a matter of, I've got, if you see a little bit of blue on the front here in the windows, it's because I put a little bit of micro mask in there, trying to get these windows masked over a little bit. And these windows are, it's pretty easy to use the micro mask on these windows because they do sit recessed. So you just dip my little pointer in there and drop a little bit of that micro mask in each window and let it dry. And what that'll let me do is let me come back and do my touch-ups and my feathering and blending in of the paints. and not have to worry about covering up any windows. Now it kind of defeats the purpose of painting the whole model, I guess you could say, if I'm doing that, but not really, because it keeps me from having to I don't have to use a whole lot of paint to blend it in. So I just got to do a little bit of light touching up after I get everything finished up. Like I said, all my seams around the saucer are good. I actually may have a little bit of a light leak I need to fix on the front here around the deflector housing. But other than that, she's about 90% light blocked. A little more work to do on it. Funny thing is, when I was handling this and doing some of this other work, something kept, heard something sliding around in there, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and finally I got it to, when I had this side piece, this vent off, or whatever this is on the side here, popped off. This came flying out finally, and it's the piece, remember it's that little tab I said I was going to cut off, so you can see where I sawed it off there. Bring my light over here. You see where I sawed it off there, and you can tell that it was the case that you could see where the pins had kind of glued to the side. They didn't quite go in the holes there like they were supposed to. So fortunately I sawed that off, and it just was able to get it to come out, and that's a nice smooth seam on there from that saw. That's the thing about those micro saws, they do a really good job of leaving a smooth cut there. You don't have a lot of jagged edges you even have to turn around and sand off. So, but anyway, I got that out, and that's all set up, and I did pull this seam apart a little bit right here, so I got this, put a little more glue on it and got it clamped down and let it dry up and set up again. And once that's done, I'm going to finish filling in with these windows with the micro mask, and that way I can come back once I finish with all these seams back here. I'll just come back over it. I'll tape off my warp nacelles, because I don't really need to do anything else to those, and I don't want to have to mess with these again. They're perfect the way I want them to be. I don't want to have to mess with them again. So I'll mask these off, and mask off this crystal here. Probably put some the micro mask over that and over these, and come back and just kind of blend everything together, so that way you can't tell. Because right now, if you look at it, you can kind of tell that I painted this section separate from the saucer section. It's not quite the same color because I did the two-step process of painting this thing. But not a big deal. Like I said, I'll come back over, I'll mask these windows off, and just come back over and blend it all in, and she'll be good to go. And I know this is kind of a short episode, because really everything after this is tedious. It's a lot of little seams I've got that I want to do some more sanding and filling to, and just kind of smoothing everything out a little bit more before I do that final touch-up paint. And then she'll be ready for decals. And talking to Brian's decided that he's going to wait until those Aztec masks are ready that Gus is working on over there, decals. And as soon as those are ready, I'll be able to do his, because you got to do those decals. And actually, I think the decals that he's working on are going to replace some of the decals that come with, that come stock with the ship. So once those are ready, I'll be able to come back and decal this up, and I'll come back and we'll do another video. So it's probably going to be a little bit before you see another video on this, just because Brian wants to wait, and I don't blame him. I think those decals are going to look awesome. I think it's really going to make this ship look nice, and give me a chance to showcase Gus's work after he's put all the hard work into it that he's doing right now. So at any rate, again, I want to say thank you for everybody subscribing. Had a lot of new subscribers, and I hope you find this information useful. But again, as I always say, you don't have to subscribe, but please, feel free to hit that like button below, or if you feel like doing it, just leave a comment. Let me know how things are going, or what you think, or if there's anything you want to contribute, or any comments you want to make. I appreciate them. Like I said, this is modeling from the engine's chair, not modeling from the captain's chair, even though I've had a couple of people say otherwise. But always learning here, and always glad to share some of the trade secrets that you guys have developed. So at any rate, again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to my subscribers. Again, waiting on those Aztecs, but check out Gus's website. He's got a lot of nice decals, and you can do custom decals for any of your starships you're working on. And here soon, Cass over at Lake Monster Models is going to have a big announcement that I can make on some parts that he's working on, and they're going to be awesome parts. So when they come out, I would be happy to share those with everybody. So just keep an eye on this my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, and then on Star Trek Modelers group I'll also post everything there. But again, like I was saying, it might be a little bit before I put out a video on this, but I will be working on, in the meantime, I've got that tribute build I'm going to start working on more because I want to have that done by November. And I've also got that Airwolf model that I'm going to be doing a build video on. So keep a lookout on that. I'll probably put out a video just going over an introduction to this kit, probably this weekend along with this if I have time. But again, everybody, thanks for watching, thanks for the support, and until next time, keep modeling.